We're just taking care of each other's feelings. It made everybody feel more tense, more separate, more antagonistic. We're separating ego from truth.
Safety isn't about avoiding discomfort.
Take the risk of looking bad. More true starts with resilience, responsibility, ownership.
Am I serving their growth, or am I just feeding my ego?
Honestly, my mission is...
What if safe spaces are actually making us weaker, not stronger? Today's guest says emotional safety isn't about comfort, it's about truth. And she's not here, guys, to coddle your ego. Cory Katuna, which we just found out, guys, I thought she was Hispanic. She's not. Is your parents from Hungary, both of them?
My dad's side of the family is Hungarian and Russian, and my mom's side is Irish and Norwegian. So I'm a nice American white combo.
Wow, that's crazy. So Cory Katuna is back on the show. She is a spiritual provocateur, emotional alchemist, and a deeply intuitive guide. One of our most loved guests. We have, I think, you're like second, maybe first, maybe second. We have like 50-something thousand views of the last episode you were on, and that was a year ago. So it's super awesome. And I think a lot of it, when I read the comments, a lot of it was like, you don't sugarcoat things. So, and that's why I really appreciate your work and how you get really deep. And we got really deep as far as emotional healing goes and what that means to live from the heart. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And guys, she has some bold new insights, fresh new YouTube series, new YouTube channel show. So before I want you guys to pause this unless you're driving. And we're all going to go down and subscribe to her YouTube and also follow her on Instagram. They're both the same, right? It's Cory Katuna?
Yeah, Cory Katuna. And then the podcast is called Perspective with Cory Katuna.
Perfect. So everybody do the new show. Let's show some love there.
Easy.
Thank you, Cory, for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I love being on the show.
Narrative. Because I know in our last episode, we talked about you going from woke to... and this is really big, emotional safety, having safe spaces. So what was that transformation like for you?
Awesome. I want to make a little caveat here because I would say that they're not safe spaces. We call them safe spaces. It's like at most people's jobs nowadays, they have to go through their like DEI training and learn how to create a safe space and, take care of each other's emotions and make sure we don't offend and make sure everybody feels validated and recognized. So we have to there's kind of a cultural trend right now where we're just taking care of each other's feelings, which is good in many ways. There's pros and cons to that, but it doesn't create a safe space. And that was something that I learned by going through it, like by going through the whole culture of like, oh, we need to make sure if I have privilege that I check my privilege. And if I look at you in a certain way, that's a microaggression. So let me educate myself. So I learned how to create a safe space. And then what I learned quickly, and I think everybody around me was learning it too, but because it was we were, so policing each other that people didn't want to admit it, that it just created less and less and less safety progressively. It made everybody feel more tense, more separate, more antagonistic to each other. Like you're going to get exposed if you say anything, like you could get fired, canceled. So it was like the opposite of a safe space. I don't know if I answered your question, but...
Yeah, no, I think a lot of times, and I want to take this, and I know you know this, spiritual retreats. This is a perfect thing, and I want to approach it from this way. I've had it where, I was in a retreat years ago, and everyone was nodding and doing affirmations and everything's so positive. And it's almost like everybody wants this, they're trying to seek this, it's like a heroin overdose, spiritual high, it's like this. And so we're all going to get together and have this, it's just going to feel great. And then in that safe space, there was someone who shared a story. And the story wasn't cool at all. It wasn't nice. And everybody started kind of doing like platitudes towards her, like smothering her, trying to get that stink out of the room, because she was struggling. But everybody else was like, feeling this spiritual high. And I know you've seen this, you've experienced this, you've been doing this for years, and you could watch somebody kind of shrink, you know what I mean? When their truth gets buried under the need to keep things safe. Does that make sense?
For sure. Yeah, no, I think it's just so common that that there's like parameters for what is okay and what is not okay, like what's cool, what's not cool, what do we want, what are the vibrations that we want to have in this space, what are the, and anything that deviates from that. Well, I think people are just uncomfortable with that in themselves. They're uncomfortable with certain, there's like a range, there's like a spectrum within which they feel good and friendly and safe. But then if you just go a little below or a little above, it's kind of like people just feel like they unequipped, like they just don't know.
Mhm.
But then you'll see all kinds of weird behavior. Truly, you'll see just all kinds of weird behavior. And you're describing kind of this like smothering, like, la la la, pretending that they don't notice it. But I mean, you'll just see kind of like the unconscious reaction come out in people in all kinds of different ways. So that's definitely something that we have to consider and sort of prepare people for in retreats. Like one of the things that we do, Rome and I do in our Living True retreats, is like we have this thing like bring it in, bring in the ugly thing. Like that's part of it. Like you got to be able to go into ugly territory, because that's literally what we're doing here. We're separating ego from truth.
Yeah.
Like we're separating, like we got to be able to look at the lies, at the bullshit, at the self proliferation techniques, at all the minutes. If you can't look at that, we're just lying. This isn't a real retreat. There's no healing happening. We're just moving furniture around and pretending that the room's better. We're not we're not changing anything. But like step one, day one is like, all right, everybody, shit's gonna come up. That's what we do. That's what happens. And bring it in when it does. Don't go suppress. Don't create a little clique and gossip about it with each other. Just bring it in. Like dare to bring it in. Take the risk of looking bad, and like let's see what happens. Like we're gonna get through this together. And often we'll volunteer. We'll go first, or we'll have people that we know go first, and then people are like, we really can bring it in. Like they're serious.
This is real.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's when I was listening, because you were talking about this on your show, and it's safety isn't about avoiding discomfort. I think that's where a lot of people are at. And what you were talking about, it's about like creating space for truth.
Nice.
What is truth to you, like in the sense of like when you think about creating space and having that ability to be able to be that way, maybe to like a friend or something, because I know you talked about like a friend or whatever. But what does that look like for you when you're actively practicing, creating truth for somebody, not this space thing?
Yeah, there's nuances to this, because the topic of truth, like what is actually true, this can be hijacked. This is easy to bastardize. And actually the whole like woke movement likes to do that, where it's like, this is just my personal truth. You have to respect this. This is my lived experience. I need special accommodations, and nobody is allowed to like be within 6 feet of me, or else I'm going to have a panic attack. And this is my personal treat, or whatever it is, insert special treatment here. So that isn't okay. So to talk about that, we have to talk about what is more true and what is less true. Less true is where you are further away from yourself. You have less access to yourself. And so a metaphor could be working out, or getting really fit. The more fit you are, the more access to yourself you have. You can just move better. You can wake up. You can, get out of bed right away. You can go wherever you want. You can fit in the clothes that you want to fit in. You have more access to yourself because you've been doing the work of fitness. And if you completely neglect your body, in a way, you are less of yourself. You have less of yourself. Yes, that is your personal truth. Yes, there's total validity to that. That is your lived experience for sure. But you have less access to your freedom. You could say you're less free. You feel less like yourself. So there is, in a way, a hierarchy of truth here. And when you've done the work of admitting, releasing your fears, releasing your attachments, when you've done that work, you actually have more access to yourself than when you're just like, I need special accommodations. I am weak. I'm a victim. Everything offends me. Maybe that's relatively true. On some level, you could make a case that that's relatively true, like your personal truth, but it's further away from the truth of your potential. It's further away from what is actually, what is like the best for you? What's the best case scenario? And then I don't think we like to put that on a spectrum of like truer and more true and more false. And that's fine. We don't have to. So in a safe space, everybody's I should say quotes, in a safe space.
Right.
Everybody's indulging the lowest parts of themselves, like their inadequacies, their fears, their anger, their blame, their rejection of each other. That's what's ruling. That's what we're making space for. And that's not their true self. That's not your true self. To be a victim, to be afraid, to be angry, to need all this special treatment. That's not your true self. Yes, we can still accommodate you. Yes, we can still take care of you. Yes, it's your personal truth and your lived experience. And I don't mean to undermine that, because it sucks. It sucks. But more true starts with resilience, responsibility, ownership, work ethic, reaching for more access to yourself, telling the uncomfortable truth, admitting your hidden agendas like that. I mean, that's really the work that we do, is to just like reach for a more true version of yourself out of a less true version of yourself. And we try and not invalidate the less true version of ourselves, because, we're attached to that. People are really attached to their limitations. And until you get above it, and then from above it, you're like, oh my God, what was I doing? I can't believe it. Thank you so much for dealing with me and helping me out of that. But if you just go straight to where they're still stuck in their limitations and you say, oh, you're choosing this, that's just like a recipe for getting the silent treatment.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. And, it creates these echo chambers, which you talked about, and that always brings stagnation, not growth. I had to get away from sometimes I have to limit myself on X, or what used to be Twitter, because you just get caught up in these echo chambers and they can suck you in, and my reptilian brain can get so excited over those. I'm like, yeah, that's a great conspiracy theory. This is awesome. I can't believe, these people are lizards, So, I'll go down some crazy rabbit holes, but, a lot of these safe spaces or echo chambers without challenge or truth, because I think truth should always challenge. I think they're just cages with better lighting, if that makes sense.
I love how you said that. I totally agree. Golden cages, basically. It's just a cage. Yeah, totally. And mutually, socially reinforced, where you're in the cage, like pointing fingers and blaming and ridiculing everybody else who's not in that cage.
Yeah, I want to get into coddling, because this was interesting. What is holding truth with somebody compared to coddling them? And then how did you catch yourself coddling? Because I know you talked about that.
Let me think if I have a good story about myself coddling.
Or coddling someone, because if you put a blanket on too tight over somebody's face, it suffocates them.
Exactly.
So you can coddle something to the point, I can hold a bird. There's always that picture of somebody holding a bird, and then you squeeze it too hard because you love it so much,
Right.
It's kind of that. What do you view, compared to giving somebody, when you're coddling them, you're not being truthful?
Totally. Yeah. No, I mean, it's kind of okay, if you want the best for somebody and you really want the best for them, you want the best for them long term, not just short term comfort, not just relief from whatever hard thing that they're dealing with. No, you want long-term best case scenario for somebody. We can all answer this question. Like, everyone knows intuitively. Everyone knows that that's the payoff. Okay, if my kid just wants 3 kilos of chocolate cake day after day after day, no, like, definitely not, because I care about you. Obviously not. Everybody knows that. Right. Nobody feeds their dog, something just because it really wants it and it wants that sort of instant gratification. So we all know that you can't coddle something in the short term, but that's the payoff that I think people really struggle with, is like not having that long-term vision of like, I actually want I want to help this person become resilient. I want to help this person get stronger. I want to help this person like see themselves more and have breakthroughs. And no, but instead, because I actually would prefer to just have a really comfortable conversation right now, and like I want them to like me at the end of this phone call. And I wouldn't be able, I don't even know, I don't even honor those things in myself. So what am I going to do telling them to honor those things? Because I just want to kind of get through this, and it's just the social habit. I'm just going to be like, no, you don't need that. Don't put up with that. Go to get some rest, relax, spend the money, whatever it is. We just coddle each other because we don't have long-term vision and we're not aiming high for each other. Honestly, that's what I think it has come down to. And I think my own experience has to do with having friends that do this for me, my family, my friends, my spiritual community. These are people that I respect the most, are the ones that are like, Cory, cut it out. This is self-sabotage. Those are the people that I'm like, dang, hate this, wish this conversation wasn't happening. This hurts. And thank you. Like, some part of me always is just like, you're right. Let me reach for that potential that you see in me. Thank you for aiming high for me instead of aiming low and letting me just continue this self-destructive behavior. Thank you for aiming high. And then over time, if that happens a bunch, you just learn to prefer it. You learn to reach. I really don't even go to people that coddle me anymore. I don't even think I have any friends that coddle me anymore.
That's so awesome, because, what I have to catch myself when I was listening to you talk about this, like you said, it's the dog because the dog will eat till they throw up and get sick, but we always want to feed the easy answers. We want to smooth over their discomfort to avoid conflict. Or for me, the narcissistic part was, I'm going to be the teacher. Oh, I have opportunity to be the teacher now. I can be a spiritual teacher. I'm going to be the good one now. So a lot of times when somebody comes to me, I have to stop and check my motives. Am I serving their growth? Am I communicating to their higher self? Or am I just feeding my ego through this process? Because we all like trauma and drama, especially if it's not ours.
That's so self-aware. Wow. That's even another level than coddling, because it's more about like the image, or yeah, like you said, like the ego boost of having a position. So this is another level of, I mean, to me, I put that in category of, am I consuming validation from this person, or am I really being generous? Like it's like, am I truly being of service to this person, or am I positioning myself in a way that I get something out of this? So that's what it sounds like you're calling yourself out on, or at least you're noticing. And I think not too many people will admit that.
Yeah. So when you're in the process of, I mean, like your spiritual community you have and your friends, and you're offering advice and it lands wrong, how do you handle that? And then what do you look at as far as like when you're listening and being present versus being right, if that makes sense?
It's so good. I love this question. I love this topic. Okay, so I've gotten to a point where I'm fairly respected among my friends, my teammates. So if somebody doesn't take my advice, if something's going on and I give some feedback and they're like, whether they just don't want it because it's uncomfortable or they disagree, I just say, all good, fine, later. And usually what happens is people are like, have a moment to self-reflect and they're like, sorry, you're right. Or I was wrong and I'm really happy to be wrong. Like if I'm like, okay, maybe this was not the time. Maybe this is, you thought you wanted to hear this, but you don't. Fine. So I really have like I used to have a lot of attachment to like, did this land? Should I have said it differently? Did you? Oh no, maybe I had some ego in here. But now I really, there was actually a point a couple years ago where I realized I actually finally want the best for everyone. I want all of my friends to be enlightened. I want all of my friends to reach 10 out of 10. And that was like a noticeable moment where before that, maybe there was still some competition, or maybe there was still some like, oh, if they're really good, shoot, I'm not going as well as they are, or or whatever. And I had a moment where, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Some sort of scarcity mindset where I wasn't fully 100%, maybe at a 9, but not at a 10. And recently I was like, no, I actually want the best for everyone. Like I want the best for my friends. I want the best for the people. I want an enlightened team. I want my family 100% free from suffering. I want that's actually what I want. So now I trust my motives. Now I actually trust, I know what I want. I'm not competing anymore. There's no part of me that's trying to undermine anyone around me at all anymore. So I think that's why I'm not attached to the advice I give. It's truly, it's like, this is the best thing I have for you. I can guarantee that in myself. Whether you believe it or not, I know this is the best thing I have for you because that's where I'm coming from. That's what I want for you. So maybe it doesn't land, in which case give me some feedback and I'll try to make it land again, or you're not interested, in which case fine, totally fine. So sorry, you had another part of that question?
No. Let's go into this because this is really interesting, the scarcity and abundance, because Esther Hicks or Abraham Hicks, she talks about this and she always like lights me up. I love listening to her little rants. And that's what she calls them. I think she calls them like spiritual rants or something.
Rampage.
But she's like, yeah, rampage. Yeah. She said inner being, like being able to talk to someone, being present and feeding their inner being with abundance, and we all think of abundance and scarcity. We always do put a monetary value on it. But what she's talking about, is exactly what you're saying. It's like, I truly am coming with all my emotion that from a truthfully perfect way, because I'm using perfect in the higher self sense, that I have genuine love for you. And what I'm sharing to you, is not only helped me, but I believe it's truly, truly going to help you. And that's rare to have that, to have somebody come to you, because it's mostly like, trust the universe, love and light, let me drop some wisdom and preach to you, it's all that stuff. So it's so interesting that you've caught on to that you were self-aware enough to recognize that I'm giving you my best right now. I'm giving you from inner being.
Right. Like I know I want the best. And I think that what made me realize that is like, okay, I have one like really, really enlightened friend, and then everybody's on a spectrum, but Bentinho is my one like actually,
right,
enlightened friend.
He's like next level. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I'm approaching that. I'm getting closer and closer. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting closer and closer. And what I notice is like that one enlightened friend has the ripple effect of like enlightening thousands of people around. So the more enlightened people around us, the more enlightened we get. Like it is guaranteed. It's just like, I want more of those. I want to get there. I want you to get there. I don't care what order, Like that's where we're going. I want to be like free, wise, bright, happy 24/7, line generate. Like those are the qualities that I know I want around me. And I have an example where it's like when there is somebody with that around me, everybody's better off. My life is better. Everyone's life is better. Everybody realizes their goals in a faster way. Everybody's more fit. Everybody's more healthy. Everything just improves in that context. It truly like you can debunk yourself if you are competing. Like if there's scarcity or lack or fear or whatever, that's actually a debunkable belief.
Yeah, it's interesting because, to get to that point, like you're talking about, the perfect example is Jesus. Like he would walk in a room and people would be healed.
Yes.
Spiritually, mentally, physically, he could feel, he was so enlightened that, the lady touched his garment and he could feel,
Yes.
it said it came out of him, it was out of him. He could sense like, so being able to have somebody like that in your life, I know is beautiful and something that you treasure. I want to kind of get into this part, as far as like the ego and how you experience it.
Mm-hmm.
And how it hijacks spiritual relationships. Because a lot of people that we have on this podcast that are listening to, they're leaders, they're being successful in the world, and they have been on a spiritual journey maybe for a few years or a decade or something. But I see a lot of spiritual talk, or even on these spiritual podcasts, they're booming and going well. There's a lot of ego. How do you experience that, and how do you think it subtly hijacks us in the spiritual sense?
Right.
That's a big question, I know.
Yeah, no, it's so good. Well, the ego, okay, maybe this would be the best framework for this. The ego has the effect of separation. So downstream from ego, there's the effect of any of this negativity, blame, separation, fear, inadequacy, any of that stuff that is downstream from the ego. So, okay, when I see this in like spiritual teachers and stuff, I guess I used to, I used to be like looking for like, who can I learn from? Who can I learn from? Who can I start from? And so that would be confusing for me. And I feel that empathy in a way for seekers who are like looking for who should I emulate? Whose sort of vibration should I match? And that can be so confusing. It's hard to discern where the ego is and where it's not when you're new. But now the way I see it is like, where everybody has some ego remnants. Everybody's in it together. I wish for more humility in people, in like some of these sort of big sort of spiritual influencers. And I wish that, like, I want that. I hope for that. I pray for more and more humility where it's like, because I think that learning mindset, like that attitude of like, I don't know for sure. I'm like, I could still be purified by God. I'm not this perfect beacon. I'm still receptive and open and interested, and like through my humility and through my honesty, I could still become a more streamlined instrument of source. And I think the more people, and I say I wish that for people, but I also see it happening. So I also see more and more humility in spiritual influencers and stuff. I think like this whole era of like woke stuff and all the cancellations and all this AI stuff. And so now people are finally like, I want real. I want to see,
Yes.
where is like the real, authentic, humble people are having real processes. So I do think the movement is going in the right direction, also for spiritual leaders and stuff. God, I really liked your question. I almost want more time to think about it, but we can.
Yeah, no, I think one of the big things that I've noticed is I always look at my ego as like the sneaky voice that wants to make everything about me. My image, my story, my need to be special. And, how I kind of view the ego is it likes to cling to roles. So it wants to be the teacher, the victim, the enlightened one. It wants to take a spiritual relationship, hijack it, and turning, like you said, it instead of having it like higher self connection, fourth density, heart connection, it wants to turn it into competition. So I don't want to listen to my friends' breakthrough. I don't want to know what was going on. All I want to do is spiritually one up you right now. And I'm trying to think how I can do that, if that makes sense. I want to play the savior to feel superior.
Totally. This episode I just released today, episode 5 from my podcast, talks about social validation seeking and how the ego is so programmed. It's so obsessed and it's so good at finding little ways. At first it's gross as kids, we're just like, look at me. And, at first it's gross, but then we get more and more refined and more sophisticated at our tactics for just getting validation, even if it's no, I'm too busy. That's a tactic to get validation. Like all this. So, and I wrote about this in my newsletter, how I went through a process of like seeing how everything I was doing was for validation, was because I wanted.
Yes.
And I think that's like the hallmark of the ego, is that it's just doing this. It's just being like, give me a little bit, like me, think I'm cool, think I'm interesting, be intimidated of me, respect me, be exactly like what you were saying. And then what the self, or what God, or what, your higher self, the agenda of yourself is purely creative. It is like the opposite direction.
Mhm.
Like, I'm attentive to you. No, I'm not looking at myself through your eyes. I'm just looking at you. I'm available to you. I'm attentive. I'm present. I'm available. I'm open. This is nothing but a channel. This is nothing but like an instrument for generosity and attention and love and care and connection. I'm not saying I'm there
Yeah,
yet.
yeah, no, but don't you feel like, and I'm not picking on the role at all, but the ego likes to cling to a role. And I see this a lot with mothers with their children. They'll disguise the ego as care or wisdom, but they're blocking the real intimacy by they're wanting the child to cling to the role. I'm your mother, and reminding them that of constantly, that's all ego there.
So true. Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, it makes me think of like one of the big processes most people go through when they sort of start getting into spirituality is like, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? What is my purpose? And it's a beautiful exploration, because it gets you to ask these tough questions of like, what really matters? What are my priorities? Those are great questions, but it's not like you're ever going to find out the answer. It's not like there's ever an answer like, oh, this is my purpose. It's not ever that. It's just clarity. It's just presence. It's just more freedom. Like, that's all you'll ever find. But that's like a huge stumbling block for people early in their spiritual journey, is like, but like, where? And that's because that's what the ego, that's what the remnants of the separate self needs something to be. It needs something to grab onto. It needs a role.
Yeah, and for me, it's like, where am I performing? I'm not connecting. I'm performing, because I'm making all about me. So I'm not really caring what the other person's thinking or doing. And then in that performance, I get to choose control, what we think is control, instead of having vulnerability, if that makes sense.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I really love that. It's something that I think, like, when I've coached people, I'll have them practice this in like networking events or dinners with their friends or whatever, where they just shift of like, what am I trying to do right now? I'm up to something right now. Am I trying to look cool? Am I trying to ha ha ha? Like, what am I doing? Am I trying to make an impression? Because if you can just narrow onto that, like, I'm up to something. I have an agenda. There's something trying to happen. And it's just but if you're really, and you say, no, 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 no. What am I really trying to do right now? Because it's something. I am trying to do something. I'm trying to look cool. I'm trying to make a good impression, whatever. And if you can just shift that from consuming to generosity, that's like, even Jordan Peterson talks about this as a hack for anxiety. So people who have anxiety in social situations, that is a result of of doing this. And if you just think, can I get you some water? Does anybody need anything? Hey, I like your shirt. Just to shift from like, it's about me, to my attention is now outward, is a breakthrough for anxiety. So, but the same thing can be taken all the way, I think, for the ego.
That's so true, because it can be, I've seen that over and over again in my own life, having that service to self instead of service to others, if that makes sense. Yeah. I want to ask you, because I always like to make sure, that, because like you said, you have a friend that's super spiritual enlightened, and everybody should go, watch Mentino's channels. He gets tons of views. But I feel like this is something that would be huge to help friendships. I know, to me, his teachings sometimes feel like emotional fire. Mm-hmm. I want to know from you, what's the value, this kind of selfish question too, what's the value of sitting in that fire instead of fleeing it? Like, how did you not get burned up?
Wow.
Does that make sense?
It makes so much sense. I feel like I don't know. I feel like we must just be on like very parallel paths for you to be asking questions like that. Okay. I would say that I did get burnt up. So I think that's kind of the point. It's like, what's your stamina, or like, what is your, because that's the point. That is the point. And it's different from learning soccer. It's different from having a great soccer coach where you just learn some new skill. It's different than like music or like it's not the same. It's where you put yourself on the table. This is the object. This thing that I'm identified with. This ego, this body, this mind, these memories, these patterns, this whole persona. That's what goes on the chopping block. It's different than anything else. I mean, this is awakening. It's like awakening from the dream. And if you remember the movie The Matrix, it's like the whole body is in the dream. The whole
Uh-huh.
person is in, it's like you wake up and you're somewhere else. It's a different thing. It's not, it's a dream. It's literally like that. So, I think the thing of like standing in the fire, I would recommend for people to see that as the point. Like you go into the fire and then people take that too far. People take it too far where they're like, okay, we're all going to be, I'm going to just
Right.
offend you with all of my power and I'm going to, just roast me. Everybody roast me. So people take it too far. And I just see it like a child, like an immaturity thing. It's just people who are like, no, if you're serious, you just want to walk forward, keep your eyes up. Don't be blinded. Don't be like hyper or naive. Just walk forward. Go, you're going to have resistance come up. Face it. Deal with it. Talk about it. Bring it in. Okay, next step. Okay, damn, this hurts. Oh God, this is so embarrassing. Oh my God, I've had this ugly thing. All right, let's talk about it. Talk about it, breathe. And this could be like, truly, this can be a point where people feel it's like it's like everything we spend our lives trying to avoid comes up here. Shame, fear, all that stuff. It's like the worst feelings. It's like what we're literally trying to avoid with all our might. That's the stuff that the ego is, those are the shields of the ego where it keeps itself alive because it knows we don't want to go there. So, but that is what awakening is. That is what spiritual evolution is. It's like, let me volunteer the things that I'm most attached to and most identified with. And then as you do that and you have these, like, you get above the water and it's funny. It's always fun. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe I made that so serious. Can't believe I was so afraid. I can't believe that was, oh my God, I really believed that. And now it's like hilarious and easy and obvious. But when people are kind of in this work and then they don't have that breakthrough, that's where it can almost be, I don't know. I mean, I think traumatizing is like, is one of those words I want to use sparingly because people will like latch onto it. But it can be like, no, don't do that. Don't go see that teacher. This was the worst experience of my life. And it's like, yeah, because you weren't using that teacher for what it was trying to teach. You thought, you wanted to like have a cool ayahuasca breakthrough kind of like interesting thing. You wanted the theory of it, but you didn't want the practice of it. So in general, I kind of recommend to people to avoid spiritual work. And if you're down, if you really want it, if you really want awakening, if you really want this kind of thing, that's going to be the point, is to stand in the fire and to stay in the fire. And you can get support and you can work with each other, but it's not easy. I wouldn't call it, it's like it's the hardest experiences of my life. And then it's the most fulfilling to be on the other side of.
Yeah, it reminds me of alchemy. It's the turning the lead into the gold. The process is the fire. That's what transforms, but we have to let it. That surrender is hard, and I know because which is commendable to you because you pretty much had a fire hose of spiritual teaching hit you. And you just stood there and let it I mean, that has to be crazy to have that much coming at you.
I was a difficult student, but I think that's also why, like, I have my own, I'm confident, so if I'm not liking a teaching, it's really hurting. I still want to learn though. I still want to learn, but I'm going to be an annoying little kid. I'm going to be a brat. I'm going to be like, why did you do it like that? I don't like this. Hang on. But I'll stay in the conversation with my complaints. I'll stay in the conversation. I'll keep bringing it in. I'll keep listening, even though I'm mad, even though I'm hurt. I'm going to talk it all the way out. I think that is my superpower, is I will talk it out until I get it. Or until you get it. Like I have stamina when it comes to problem solving and resolutions. So I think that's been my tool, because I can't say that I was always just like, burning in the fire with total compassion and ease. No.
Yeah, that's wild. I kind of want to shift a little bit and get into something from your episode about dropping from the head to the heart. What has been that process for you, and how has it been most effective?
That's such an on point question for what we were just talking about. That's been one of the big tools for me. So when I am like cornered, like at that, like, my God, like there's nowhere to go. My ego is squirming. I'm exposed. And like, I just don't, it's just like get off. And I'm against the corner. It's so cool because now I love that moment. I know what to do here. I didn't used to know what to do here. In the past, it was like, there's nowhere to go. What do you want from me? What do you want from me? This is, that was what I felt, was just like, why do you give me her hardest battles? This victim approach to just being totally cornered. And now what I love about that is that it shows me where the paradigm shift is. So if you think about the corner as being like on that 2D plane, you literally have to like shift paradigms. Like it's another dimension. It's not there. You won't find the solution there. So if you're cornered into something, it's like, hold up. This is where I'm seeing things from only 2 dimensions. There's a 3rd dimension. There's another place. I am somewhere else. The thing that's getting cornered is not me. That's something I'm identified with. The thing that's suffering in this like precarious, like tense position, that's not me. I'm somewhere else. Okay, so where am I? Where am I? It's in a different dimension. Okay, so now let me like open my satellite dish. Let me attune to that. Where am I? Where am I? I'm totally safe. The heart is like the best access point to this for me. Just like go to the heart, or go to intuition, or go to my higher self, or go to what is just more me. That's really, it's like, wait, where is I? Where am I right now? Because this whole thing, and it's so different than, it's not bypassing. It's more, it's like, it's not lying anymore. So the thing that got cornered wasn't me. That wasn't me. That was a part of my ego that I was identified with. And that's a lie. It's afraid, it's limited, it's lack-based. That's not true. I've been believing that wrongly. That's part of the dream. So like, wait, where am I? Because I am falling for something that's not true. So if I were to wake up, where would I wake up to? And that question is like, that's like one of these breakthroughs where it's like, hold on, I'm safe, I'm free, I'm in total love and unity. I'm one with these people, or with this, whatever, with this potential. And so that moment right there, getting cornered or just being like at the trickiest point is the mind. It's some part of the mind. And then going to the heart is just like the easiest hack. It's what I go to when I don't feel when I don't know what to do. It's like, all right. Straight to the heart. Like, come back down. Like, look from here. My intuition is here. My higher guidance is here. I don't need my brain to solve this. It's never helped me in the past. The brain has never been the tool in the past. So straight to the heart. And then from there, usually it's like, it'll make me cry and laugh and be like, oh, how did I forget? How did I forget?
Yeah, that's so good. It's like asking the heart, and I was in Paris here just, a couple months ago, and you've been all over Europe. So, like when you go into those beautiful churches, especially the Catholic churches, and there's always was that heart with the flames around it.
Yes.
There's like Rosicrucian teachings with that. And I was like, what the hell is that? And I was standing at the Church of Notre Dame and saw that flaming heart, and something came to me, and this is exactly what you're talking about. It's like, what is true right now? Like, but, it was kind of like, how do I ask the heart? Because it's nonverbal. When you really get the answer, it's listening in the quiet. And it's, and the burning bush, the Moses, the same thing, is that God spoke, and he's like, this is in the silence. That's where, but it wasn't nothing spectacular, and I think there's a Psalms in the Bible too that talks about that. I've been studying the Bible a lot here lately, so sorry for putting too much.
No, I've been watching The Chosen, so I'm with you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, because it's just a supernatural book, it's amazing. And it's one of those things. And it said in the Psalms, it said that God speaks in a still small voice. And I'm like, that's the heart. That's the flaming heart, and that's exactly what you're talking about. It cuts all the noise out and it goes right to finding clarity.
I love that you say it's wordless. I love that, because it is. It's like the paradigm of words is usually the mind, but from the heart, it's like, it's just recognition. It's just a state, it's not even, I love actually seeing it as like, that's God's reference is just unity, love, remembrance, homecoming, oneness. That's what it is. And so just to get a little glimpse of that is like, I was making such a fuss, that's always my perspective after a breakthrough like that. It's like, whoa, I thought I had catching up to do. I thought I was so separate. I thought I was so far behind, Yeah.
That's so good. We have a lot of leaders that listen, and one of the DMs that I get from people is that they feel isolated in their growth. How do you invite truth, not just into friendships, I don't know, a lot of times people will fall away. That's just a natural evolving, they can adapt to adaptation, they can adapt to, what's happening, the transformation that's happening to your life, the phoenix.
Yeah.
They like the ash, so what does it look like without pushing people away or people fall away on their own? But what does that look like for you, whether you're in isolation with your growth or have you embraced that? Are you cool with that now? How does that work? Because a lot of leaders feel like it's lonely.
I just want to extend a hand to those leaders. I don't have that. That's not my experience. I have had to release friendships in a way. I haven't had to in a while though. But for sure in the beginning of my journey, and I think this is inevitable. It's not only spiritual, it's just inevitable when you like fixate on okay, this is the direction I'm going. It's inevitable that when you double down and when you pour into it, like Alex Hormozy talks about this, like if you're going to go ham on his business, and it's like some people are going to be like, why are you working so hard? And, did you forget about us? And, and that's actually one of the
work-life balance.
Exactly. And I see this actually as one of the telltale signs of like a good friendship. And it's the people who have stayed in my life. It's the ones who let me leave them behind.
Mm-hmm.
It's the ones that are like, I don't get it. I'm not, I'm not along, but like, go ahead, like fan your flame. The ones that like encourage me to pursue whatever's true for me. Those are the ones that then I come back and I'm like, hey, thank you. I recognize that. Like that's, I don't need anybody to stay with me. I just need people to, I just need people to be honoring of free will and to be doing the inner work in their own way. So, okay, this doesn't answer the question, but as far as, the leaders with loneliness, maybe the main thing I can say is like double down, like really stay. Because sometimes I think what causes the loneliness is that people don't go all the way. They like start spiritually seeking. Then they're like, I won't go all the way. I'm not going to, because I don't want to be stuck with all the hippies. I don't want to be, I'm going to just maintain order and just kind of do it on the side, like do a little bit of hobby seeking on the side. But if you really pursue it, if you really make it a priority and you follow that thread, you follow that like whisper from God, and you follow it and you pour yourself into it, it's the coolest thing that happens. It like reorganizes your life in the best possible way you could imagine. Like God is not trying to sabotage your business. It's the best possible way you could imagine. It's so intelligent. Like, I don't know a better word than intelligent. Like when you really follow that calling, the one that you just, if you're on your deathbed looking back at this moment now, what do you actually want to be doing? What do you actually want to be chasing, learning, giving, seeking? Like if you follow that calling, the universe reorganizes your life in the best way for you. It's not, you're not just going to go fly to like the Himalayas and like go in a cave and be a total weirdo and never speak to your family again.
Right.
So I think that it's like faith that if you do follow that inner calling, you'll see that the loneliness was just a test, and it's definitely not the case.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, you mentioned Alex Hormozy. I was just listening to a long podcast. He has like a 4-hour podcast with Chris Williamson or something.
Yeah, I just saw that one too.
Yeah, I listened to it when I was hiking, and it was so interesting. One of the things that came to me during that, and it's so interesting you brought this up, is like, I'm like, he has a form of spirituality because he has a form of clarity. And he's truly being who he is in his higher self, and he's helping and sharing and caring and he's creating employees, which are creating abundance. So it doesn't have to be the tarot, the crystals, like you said. You don't have to be the hippie to be spiritual.
No way. And now I think what's so cool with Hormozy is that now he's like, okay, I did what I needed to do. And now I'm going to open myself up to happiness. Let's see. What do the monks do? People who meditate 3-5 hours a day have like a standard deviation. They're 3 standard deviations away in terms of happiness than everybody else. So I think it's so cool because he just followed that guidance. Like he's just trusting his path, even if it means losing people, even if it means being ridiculed at certain points. And then now look, it's like an intelligent design. It's intelligently, now the happiness is coming. Like now everything is in its perfect order. You don't have to sacrifice anything if you follow that calling, if you honor that guidance.
That's so good. I want to, because I only have a couple more questions for you because we're coming up in the hour, but I could talk to you for hours and hours. But I want to kind of get into, like, for you personally, what a spiritual lesson you've been working through lately, and that's something that you haven't fully mastered yet, but you're leaning into anyways. Like for me, I've been wrestling with surrender, not like fluffy kind, but like the gritty kind of like releasing and letting go of control. Like I'm trying to grip outcomes. That's how people perceive me, but how's my work landing? Because it's so important to me. It's like, how is it landing instead of like just trusting the flow and allowing things to be messy? I don't like messy things, you know. What is the spiritual lesson you've been working on?
I love what you shared. And by the way, if I see you as being very surrendered, actually, it's super cool. I really have a good time every time we talk, and I think it has to do with you're not so controlling, actually. Maybe you are in some certain ways, but it's like I really feel like you're just like here and you like pulling from the ethers. Like the conversation completely, it like comes from nowhere. It just feels like it's authentic, present. So, and I think that's not as common, especially for a man to have access to that. It feels very surrendered to me. So just so you know, but I
Oh,
get
thank you.
that's the
Appreciate
thing
that.
about these spiritual lessons is that it can look like it's perfect from the outside, but then on the inside, it's like the point of biggest churn and biggest growth.
Yeah, it's cracking me open.
Nice.
Yeah. What are you going through? Or is there something that you've been working on? You know, something that you can
Yeah.
share?
Yeah, for sure. Um, okay, I could talk about it from a couple different ways. One, okay, I guess the main thing is overwhelm.
Mm.
So, and I've kind of had like cycles where I come back to dealing with this. And what my current desire, my current approach with this, with overwhelm, because I'll get where I'm so busy
Mhm.
that then I start protecting my time. And that's just like
Mm.
guarantee. It's like, no, I can't. Like, everybody feels like a threat to my time.
Yes.
Everybody's like, I know you're going to want a conversation with me. I'm going to talk to you next week, book it in my calendar. So if I start protecting my time, it's kind of my cue that it's like, oh, Cory, you're believing this, you're falling for the linearity of things. And that's not actually as it is. So what I've been doing with this sense of overwhelm is really just, I know it's like so simplistic, but it's slowing down and just making sure I feel good. Like, so just making sure. So even if it's like, oh, stress, okay, I got to manage this. I got to make time. I'm budgeting everything. I'm making sure that I'm going to be on time to this. First, like slowing down just to counteract the pressure, I guess. Like going slow, not bouncing out of bed immediately, but just slowing down and then feeling good. So this one, that's, if I'm honest, that's the real practice right there, because it's all down to the state. Overwhelm is just a temptation not to be aligned. It's just a temptation to create separation and to feel like people are wanting something from me that I have to protect myself from. So if I feel good and if I take 100% responsibility for just being in a good state, like feeling good, feeling grateful, feeling generous, feeling interested, feeling available, just like feeling like I could laugh easily. I know it's so simple, but that is what my practice has been. It's like, don't, Cory, doesn't matter how busy you are, doesn't matter how stressed you are, like you're going to feel fucking so good. You're going to feel good all day. You have no excuse. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how stressed. It doesn't matter how busy. There's no excuse to feel anything except for generous, available, grateful, and like easy to laugh all day, joyful all day. So it's, I don't know. I mean, I haven't spoken about this out loud at all. It's just my own internal process. So you get a little inner glimpse on it. But I think it's a good tool in general. I did this once actually when I was a lot younger. I did this like don't come down practice where instead of trying to constantly like improve my state, it just didn't come down. Like I just did a practice like let me see if I can go a week and not dip a single time. Just stay joyful, radiant, present, clear, loving. Can I just stay there the whole time? Do I actually have to? Is that for real? What I actually have to? Even if something bad happens, can I stay present with that and loving with that and available to that? I mean, I'm not saying that I can't have grief or can't have a moment of tension, but like, can I not come down? So I think is just like dealing with overwhelm from a place of total joy.
Yeah. When I feel overwhelmed, I'm always, what if this is exactly what's needed for me in this moment?
Nice. Right.
Yes. What do you take it from like a feminine perspective, the overwhelm? Because I hear that word a lot coming from, do you think it's a trait that has been ingrained in us from, society and roles that are played with women?
Interesting. Yeah. What even is overwhelm? Because it's such a myth. It's just such a myth. Everybody has things to do all the time throughout history. Like it's such a choice to make it too much. Yeah, I don't know what it is historically, but what I think it is it's like a cop out trying to happen. It's like
Yes.
the ego just looking for like, oh, but if I maintain some steady overwhelm, if I make sure people know I am pretty overwhelmed these days, then if I do have a little breakdown at some point, or if I do just want to opt out of the thing where, you know, I'm really needed, everybody understands. So it's like almost like having like one little like foot ready to be out the door.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah. It is a cop out for me. I know. Yeah, it's a cop out. That's what it is. I think it's just another excuse for the ego to just slip right in there and be like, hey, here I am. Pay attention to me, please.
Right.
Especially with time. You're so right about that. Because it's like, oh, fuck, another appointment. Damn it. You know, it's no, it's an opportunity to talk to another human.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's so weird. Well, Cory, I want to thank you for showing up with such honesty. I mean, that's every time our conversations, that's what it is. And it's a reminder that truth, you know, to me and the way that your attitude is like love in action, you know, and I think it's like, how do you balance truth with love? You know, and I think that you do that really well. But I want to take just 1-2 more minutes and tell us about your new show and what is the mission behind it?
Awesome. Okay, so the new show is Perspective. It's called Perspective with Cory Katuna. It's on YouTube and all the Spotify channels. And my mission, honestly, my mission is to smart people up to awakening. So, and I think what's so common with smart people is that they kind of just have their ducks in a row, and they're not, spirituality is over there. And then it's not till they're like, you know, getting old that they start thinking like, hang on, what do I, you know, so I think it's so more common that people will be on their deathbed and they'll be like, oh, I should have loved more, or I should have freed myself from this, or why did I have so much shame, or why did I avoid public speaking? And it's like, oh, those are the spiritual questions, you know? It's the universal topic is like wisdom, philosophy, spirituality, awakening. So I guess I just want to be like a normal example of somebody who's like just, you know, I'm working out, I'm getting my nails done, I'm hanging out with my friends, I'm on a spiritual journey, I'm a seeker, I'm working toward enlightenment. Like I'm going to be enlightened this life. And other people can too. And it's not this bizarre thing. It's not so weird to have a teacher. It's not so weird to meditate. It's not so weird to pray, you know? So I think I just want to be an example of like, let's do this. Like we can all do this. Like humans, you don't have to be a weirdo.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah. And I want everybody to follow you. Your YouTube is Cory Katuna. Instagram is Cory Katuna. And, you know, this is a brand new show. So we want to be supportive, you know, our whole audience. Let's go subscribe. And I've got that linked in the show notes before. But if this episode helped you see your relationships or ego in a new way, please rate and review the show, or better, share it with someone who's ready for a real conversation. Until next time, please stay awake, stay kind, and stay radically honest.
Amazing. Thank you so